What did hell do to Frank Cotton's body? And what interesting anatomical details we may easily miss while watching the film? This video answers these and other intriguing questions regarding Clive Barker's Hellraiser. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support the video with your activity. It is very important for me. This is a story about a man who, in pursuit of indescribable experiences, will literally be torn apart. Yes, those like Frank Cotton always get what they want, but the problem is that people like him want way too much, challenging their own sophistication. Sooner or later, those like him find the answer in the form of ageless experts of exquisite pleasure and exquisite pain, the Cenobites. Did Frank know when acquiring the mysterious Le Marchand's box what otherworldly pleasures it would open up for him? We can't say for sure. However, Frank would never say he regretted it. The man definitely knew, however, that solving the puzzle of the box was one of the ways to explore the depths of hell. By solving it, Frank erases the boundaries between Earth and Hell dimensions, and the Cenobites do what they love most: tearing the body of the Seeker apart with hooks, showing Frank that true pleasure and pain are inseparable. Frank's flesh is torn to such an extent that, speaking of his position in space, one may say he is everywhere. And before closing the portal to hell, the legendary Pinhead will begin to piece Frank's face together like a mosaic. This tells us that according to the Cenobites' idea, Frank's body will be reassembled to challenge the limits of his temptation once again, and hundreds and thousands of times again and again. But the Earth dimension is not lost to Frank forever. He has a loophole. As the franchise develops, we learn that the remnants of genetic material may become a portal for their owner into the dimension of the living. Now, we don't know for sure what kind of genetic traces Frank left in the attic of his old family house, although considering his preferences, we might make an educated guess. But that's not the point. Sometime after Frank's disappearance, his brother Larry, along with his wife Julia, moves into this house. Larry will suffer a home injury, and his blood spilled in the attic will become a catalyst for opening a wormhole into the realm of the living for Frank. And before Frank attempts to escape from the Cenobites, we see that now he spends most of his time in hell disassembled. This time, the Cenobites are in no hurry to put him back together, and this will certainly affect how exactly Frank will penetrate, if you will, back into the realm of the living. He'll literally be reassembling himself. Frank will rise from hell by forming his body from a repulsive and apparently extremely foul-smelling biomass. And I wouldn't be surprised if this biomass is essentially a portion of not yet differentiated stem cells. Yes, I'm aware that this sounds too pseudo-scientific and seems somewhat out of place in the context of Hellraiser, but as the plot develops, we'll understand that Frank, who raised from hell, is more of a living person than a demonic creature, although that's certainly debatable. The structure of the body forming from this biomass initially does not resemble a human one. The limbs, along with the protrusions of the spinal cord, rather resemble some kind of a creepy arthropod, protrusions that shouldn't be moving on their own. And only after this creature, with its spine already formed, hungrily pounces on the slime-formed brain, anchoring itself to it with these very spinal protrusions, do we begin to discern the anatomical details of a human who screams from yet another experience of pain that goes beyond limits. A human who is yet to form their legs. But the central nervous system organs are already formed, so the most complex part is over. Once Julia cheated on Larry with Frank and swore to do anything for him. Of course, Frank remembered this, and something beyond ordinary sounds will lure Julia to the attic. Shocked, she doesn't immediately recognize her missing lover in the creature that cannot yet walk. A lover who still has to learn to walk, as he's essentially a newborn. To fully recover, he needs what brought him back to the world of the living in the first place: blood. A lot of blood. This is what he asks of Julia, who does not hesitate much. It's interesting that Frank's current state is also a direct consequence of the amount of blood Larry left on the attic floor after his injury. He actually left quite a few there, so if there had been less blood, it's possible that at this stage Frank might not have had legs at all. Not yet. And now Frank looks more like a reanimated corpse, a zombie that has already gone through a certain stage of decay, rather than a living person with a reforming body. It might even seem that he has skin, slightly decayed of course, but still, according to the concept, he doesn't. After consuming the first victim offered by Julia, we'll start to witness a detailed detailed and graphic anatomical theater that Frank represents in all its glory. The first victim made him stronger, but there's still not enough blood to properly form all vital organs and protect them with muscle structure. But he is already demanding tactile contact from Julia, and I can't say that Julia doesn't like it. But he shouldn't expect more. After all, Frank says that his nervous system is starting to recover, and it hurts him. One can only guess what kind of pain a person completely devoid of skin might experience, all the while successfully enduring it, I might add, which is of course simply unimaginable. But apparently Frank has indeed seen a lot with the Cenobites, and surely in their company he's experienced hundreds or thousands of hours of being flayed. In any case, Frank will tell Julia that he got what he was looking for from the Cenobites. After consuming his second victim, we don't see radical changes in Frank's anatomy, as he is wearing clothes now. However, since he smokes and tastes the cigarettes, we may conclude that his organs, at least his lungs and nervous system, are formed even better. The latter suggests that his discomfort from still lacking skin must only intensify, if the word discomfort is even appropriate here. Julia's stepdaughter Kirsty will accidentally witness Frank consuming his third victim. Kirsty will manage to escape from Frank, hurting him, injuring his abdominal organs not yet fully protected by the abdominal wall, and striking him in the groin. And if Frank is in such pain at that moment, what can be said about the whole constantly being skinless thing? This scene with Kirsty once again supports the idea that Frank's physiological essence here is more that of a living human rather than an infernal creature, but still this can be debated. In the end, sneaky Frank will kill his brother Larry, taking his skin. Now, we were not shown how exactly this process went, but given that the skin taken from Larry fits Frank in a rather anatomically correct way and does not seem to be dying, despite the short time, we may conclude that this is exactly the way Hellraiser dressing in skin shall take place. That is, it must be achieved by taking someone else's skin rather than by growing it back. Perhaps this is indeed the case, as Frank did not have any elements of skin, unlike other physiological tissues upon returning from hell, as if his body did not envisage its further formation. After all, the Cenobites will take Frank back, once again tearing his body apart with dozens of hooks. And then we will see that Frank's suffering truly lies beyond the boundaries of forbidden pleasure. But one way or another, Hellraiser's story is not a story of questionable relations. It's a story telling that happy endings do exist, but not for everyone. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel and support it with your activity. It means a lot to me.